First of all, hello, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's call. We have Coach Smart here, head coach of Georgia, as we gear up for the 2021 College Football Playoff semifinal at the Capital One Orange Bowl. Number 2, Michigan versus number 3, Georgia. Just real quick before we get started, media are reminded to apply for credentials at orangebowl.org/pressbox. Reserve hotel rooms at our media headquarters, the Le Meridian Dania Beach at Fort Lauderdale Airport. Again, all of this information all month long can be found at orangebowl.org/pressbox. Also, at the end of this press conference, we will have the recording up on that website as well, available for media to download. Michigan, who will be the home team for this game, as the higher ranked team, comes in with a record of 12-1, champions of the Big Ten Conference. This is Michigan's 4th appearance in a game hosted by the Orange Bowl, owning a 1-2 record. And Georgia, the visiting team in this game, comes in also with a 12-1 record after its first undefeated regular season since 1982. Georgia is also making its 4th appearance in a game hosted by Orange Bowl with a 2-1 record. This year's game will be played on Friday, December 31st at Hard Rock Stadium, televised by ESPN at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I will now turn it over to Coach Smart for some brief remarks before we open it up for questions. Go ahead and take it away, Coach Smart.
Thank you so much. First of all, we're honored as a university to be in the Orange Bowl, and it's one of the best bowls I've been involved in. I got a chance to be involved in the Orange Bowl, both at Alabama and at FSU, and it's a tremendous event, usually great weather. I know the players really enjoy getting to go down to South Florida, practice outside, enjoy all the sights and sounds, and we're looking for the opportunity to play in it. First-class organization, and has meant so much to the University of Georgia. And then I got a lot of respect for Michigan and Coach Harbaugh's team. I got to see a little bit of their game last night, and I've seen a few of their games on TV throughout the season when we had late kicks and they had some early ones. Got a lot of respect for the job he does. I've always respected him as a college coach and pro coach. And obviously with his brother-in-law being Tom Crean, Tom and I have grown to be good friends, and a mutual respect for their family. So I know our university is certainly excited about representing in the college football playoffs, and our players today are enthused to get this opportunity and get a chance to go back out and play.
Great. Thank you, Coach. We will now open it up for questions to the media. To ask a question, click on the raise hand function on your Zoom screen. And once called upon, please unmute yourself, state your name and your affiliation before asking your question. And we have on the script, please identify who your question is for. But since we only got Coach Smart here, all the questions are for Coach Smart. Again, once Coach Harbaugh, if he's available to jump on, we will allow him in, and we'll allow him to open it up with some opening remarks for himself, and then we'll throw him into the questions as well. So let's see. First up here, we've got Zach Klein.
Yeah, Coach, it's Zach from Channel 2 in Atlanta. Last night, I'm sure it was a restless night's sleep. Looking back on it, you mentioned the big plays that you gave up in the secondary defensively. Miscommunication, guys in the wrong spot, trying to do too much. What did you take from that?
A little bit of both. There was a couple plays with miscommunication, and a couple plays we just got beat, and they did it better than we did it, and we didn't get a lot of pressure. So it was a combination of both. I mean, the big one early was a bust, and then a couple of other ones, we had a man, we just got beat. And when you play that kind of offense, you got to win some one-on-one battles, and we didn't win enough of those.
Next up, we've got Chip Towers.
Thank you, Chip Towers, Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Good to see you, Kirby. I'll ask you a last night question and a looking forward question. Last night, obviously, anytime things don't work out, there's a lot of questions. Just wondering regarding Stetson and JT, was there any discussion, like even on the headset or something about, hey, should we go in there and give JT a shot in this game since you were down, trying to come back quick? And then looking forward, I know you know Georgia history pretty good, but just Georgia playing in the Orange Bowl for the first time since 1960. Have you heard from Claude or anything about that? Or is any part of you excited that, I guess the Georgia fan base gets to go to Miami and sort of check that box?
Yeah, I didn't realize that. It seemed like maybe Claude earlier today, right when it happened, told me that. I wasn't aware of that. But I didn't realize it was 1960. So that's been a long time. So I know our fans will be excited. I think the matchup with Michigan certainly excites a lot of our fan base and in our school, because there's a lot of commonality between our president, and he used to work there at Michigan. So I know it'll be and also Tom Crean and his family being connected to Coach Harbaugh. So a lot of connections there. I think that's a great matchup, and certainly excited to go play in what I think is one of the best bowls there is out there. And a lot of our players haven't had that opportunity. So that part will be cool. As far as the stats and JT question, no, we never discussed that on the headphones last night. And, obviously we have to play better in a lot of areas, but to put any part of that blame or all that blame on Stetson, there's a lot more to it than that. And we got to play better around him. We got to play better on special teams, defense, and really all facets of the game. There were some really, really, really good throws last night by Stetson, some throws that only his guy could catch the ball, and he made some good plays. And we got to continue to work on the poor decisions and a couple of the throws there that were picked off.
Next up, we've got Palmer Toms.
Yeah, Palmer Toms, Dogs HQ. Kirby, you've talked about the leadership of this team and their mentality. You mentioned it last night. What was the atmosphere like today, having a little bit of time removed from last night's loss and the announcement of today's college football playoff?
Well, I got to be around the players very little because I got it. We got in late last night, graded the tape this morning, and kind of worked through that. And then we had a team meeting after it was known where we were playing, and we kind of went over the schedule going forward. But the players had unbelievable energy, communication, talking about moving forward and heading in the right direction. A lot of them wanting to know what was eager to know what the schedule is going to be when they get back to work. And I look at it all the time of you have to be brutally honest with yourself at a time like this. And you've got to be able to go through and say, who are we? What are we doing well? Maybe we're not as good as we thought in some areas, and where can we improve that? And sometimes you only see that through a loss. We've tried to see it through victories throughout the year, but these guys were great today, and they wanted to have a players only meeting, and a couple of those guys stood up and spoke, and I thought that was great that they did that on their own, and they were in a really good space today.
Next, we've got Connor Riley.
Hey, Kirby, obviously you've talked a lot this season about depth in your secondary. Is there really any way to improve that over the course of the season? And then you played William Poole a lot yesterday. I think he even may have started for you guys. What sort of led to that decision and giving him that much playing time?
Yeah, it is hard to add to depth as anything. I mean, you're trying to grow the younger players, right? And we're trying to get those guys ready, whether it's Javon Bullard, David Daniel, Kamari Lassiter, to grow those guys and get them better and get them to where they can be, quality backups or starters. And I think all three of those guys have gotten a lot better because they've gotten so many reps throughout practice and things, but they're not ready to start. They're not ahead of anybody else. And, in some ways you have who you have, and you have to develop that roster to try to get them better. And, our guys have played well at times this year, and each guy's had some poor plays, where we haven't made plays on the ball downfield. And our front has really protected them a lot of the way. And that was, it was evident last night when you get 0 sacks and you pressure as much as we did, you're probably going to have some one-on-one situations that you don't win them all. So we're going to go back to work at it, work really hard. And we felt like Poole gave us, Poole worked at corner since he's been in our place, and he's really more corner by nature and covers, and he's got some speed. And when you watch him last night, he covered some guys really well. And then we also had some mental bust that we've got to help him with and make it simpler so that he can get out there and try to help us. But we felt like he would give us the best chance, especially with Chris being up in the air. Chris wasn't able to practice much last week and only took a few reps. but thankfully he was able to go in the game. But he was a guy that played star against Tennessee, and he just didn't get many reps this past week.
Thanks, Coach. Now we've got Isaiah Hole.
Hey, Kirby, Isaiah Hole from Wolverines Wire. I just wanted to know if you had any early general impressions of Michigan and what kind of team it is.
I'd be unfair to say that. I mean, we just found out we're playing. The biggest thing that I noticed was the physicality they played with last night, the leadership they had. I was thoroughly impressed with the interviews that I saw among their players post game. I think you can always kind of tell, where a team stands and what they're all about by what they talk about, the messaging, and to hear those guys talk after the game was really impressive. That they're senior laden, senior driven team that leads that way.
Next up, Seth Emerson.
Kirby, another last night question. Were you surprised you all weren't able to get more pressure? It seemed like, you guys haven't tried like a lot of blitzes and stuff and pressuring too much this season other than the front guys. And that seemed like that was a strategy again last night, but still weren't able to get pressure like you usually do.
Yeah, surprised. I don't know if that's the right word, or disappointed, that we weren't able to. And it's hard, Seth, because watching the tape, there were times we did not get pressure. Okay. But when we pressured, we got pressure. We got beat. We didn't finish on the quarterback, meaning he outran a guy. He's really elite at avoiding bad plays, meaning you're about to get him and he gets rid of it and it's not a sack, or he's going down and he throws a completion on 3rd and 4 coming out off the goal line, and the next thing you know, they drive down and score. So, I mean, we got pressure. We didn't finish and we didn't cover at a premium. And this probably has a lot to do with him, him being a good athlete and their skill guys outside beating us one-on-one. But when we against other teams, when we didn't have to pressure, we didn't get exposed. Well, when you don't pressure this guy and you don't put a body on a body, he's so accurate, and they're dynamic against zone. Their numbers are just staggering when you play zone against them, and they do a great job of that. You have to find ways to get him on the ground and pressure.
Next up, SK Patrick. You there? SK Patrick going once. We're having some audio difficulties. We'll come back to you, SK. We'll try you again. Let's go over to Bryce Kuhn.
Kirby, I know you talked about George leading up into this game and his availability. I know he had 2 catches, but kind of what's his status? Is he working back towards more 100%? And how much are you guys wanting to get him involved, especially in this playoff game?
Yeah, he worked a little more this last week, and it's a progression that we feel like we're comfortable with. We feel like he's comfortable with. We feel like the doctors are comfortable with in terms of volume. And some of that's on him from a conditioning standpoint that he continues to work on. And some of it's the ability to get the reps. You can't catch up the reps and get everything that happens. But I thought he did a nice job last night in the role he was in, of understanding what his job was. He made a couple plays. I don't know how many plays he ended up playing, but he certainly is growing in that. And some of that is also, we got some other guys who are talented, and we were able to throw the ball vertical, and a lot of them ended up being pass interferences and things like that that prevented big plays. But George is a guy that's, number one, he's not 100%. He's not his old self yet. We see that from some of the numbers, but he is getting better. He's improving. And if he continues to work like he is, or he has, he's going to get more opportunities.
Mark Weiser.
Mark Weiser, Athens, Banner Herald. Hey, Kirby, I'm not sure if you're on the road recruiting or not, but how will your staff juggle recruiting, bowl prep, and practice work between now and signing day? And as it relates to Stetson and JT, will you consider making a change there, or do you feel Stetson is your starter?
Yeah, I've addressed that already. already. But as far as the recruiting, yeah, we're all out recruiting. We'll be all out this week. We missed last week, and unfortunate that we missed last week, but fortunate that we got to play in the game we got to play in. So that exposure covers a lot of that up. But we're trying to kind of double down and go see as many guys as we can this week because it goes dead on us here soon, and we got a big official visit weekend this coming weekend. So all our guys will be out, and our players have a little time off. When I say off from practice, but they'll be lifting, they'll be running. We got a kind of a program set up for those guys, and we'll be getting back into it at the back end of the week as we come off the road.
All right, we only got time for a couple more questions. Let's go back to SK Patrick.
SK Patrick, Sports Radio America. Congratulations, Coach. Being that this is your second college football playoffs, is there anything that you can pull from that first experience that can better prepare yourself for this year?
Yeah, I think so. I certainly think having experience, having played in it as a coach and organizing it and knowing what's about to happen. You know, you basically got 3.5 to 4 weeks that you've got to try to manage better than 4 other programs. We're all at square one. Nobody's really ahead of anybody else. It's like the beginning of a new season. So who manages the next 3.5, 4 weeks best in terms of award shows, final exams, Christmas break, practices, bowl time? There's a lot that goes into that. Weight discipline. It's a competition. So whoever handles that best is going to have 1 foot forward and be ahead of the other. And we want to manage that the right way. And I think having done that one time certainly helps us from understanding what we need to get done, how we prepare, and those things.
We got our last 2 questions here. This one is Angelique Chengelis.
Yes, Angelique Chengelis from the Detroit News. And Kirby, I know you haven't had much time to study Michigan or you've caught a few of their games, but I was wondering if you have noticed Aiden Hutchinson and what about him catches your eye?
Yeah, number one, I was really impressed with his interview last night, and then again today. I called him on I forget who he was on. He was on with the college football playoff coverage, and just you can tell high motor, high intensity, serious, just a talented player. And it was funny last night when I got home and just turned the game on, was watching it. I got a 9-year-old son that loves college football. He watches everything YouTube, and he started telling me about Michigan's players. And that's the first guy he started telling me about. And I'm like, how does my 9-year-old son know about Aiden Hutchinson? And he knew everything about him and was giving me all these stats. And I was pretty amazed because I really just started to fill myself in with Michigan was last night. And he was talking about Aiden.
All right, last question here. Dan Matthews.
Coach, I don't know if make good is the right, about Dan Matthews, 6A, the fan, Atlanta. I don't know if make good is the right word here, but I guess we'll just go with it. I mean, do you guys kind of feel like there is a feeling of we've got an opportunity here to make good on last night not necessarily going the way you wanted it to and the path to get into the playoff?
Yeah, I don't know if that term fits it, but I do think that we're in we have our players in a position of being a sponge, being able to embrace everything. They'll listen twice as hard now than probably they would have had they won last night. And like I've said repeatedly, if you went down a stat line and said, you're playing a team the caliber of Alabama, you lose the turnover battle 2-0, and one of them's a pick six, you lose the red zone battle, and you lose third downs, you're probably not going to come out, ahead. And it's something you can't do when you play really good football teams. And that includes all the teams in the CFP. So it's a great learning experience for our guys to understand that now you've got to go look at yourself in the mirror and say, we got to figure out what's the best thing we do. And how do I get better at this point? And I do think you can get better at this point. And I think our guys got a good awakening of that, and they'll do nothing but work hard now to be the best they can be. We haven't played the best version of ourselves. I've said that all year, and that's our job as coaches, to get the best version of them out, and we got to do that.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, everyone, for being on today's Selection Day Zoom press conference, especially Coach Smart. We will get to Coach Harbaugh as soon as he's available. Keep your inboxes open. We'll be sending out a new link for Coach Harbaugh as soon as he is available. We are very excited down here at the Capital One Orange Bowl to be hosting the playoff semifinal on New Year's Eve. Last thing, quick reminder to media, please apply for credentials and hotel reservations at orangebowl.org/pressbox. You will also be able to find a recording and transcript of this press conference. So thank you all. Have a great evening. Keep an eye on your inbox for Jim Harbaugh, and we will see you all down here in South Florida very soon.